Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ape Fist with another TFT video. In this one, we're going over a Dark Star comp. This particular game I played off stream, and I ended up having a strong board. Ended up making it to level 10. So I had a good econ. I had a nice win streak going, and really everything that could have gone well in this particular game went well for me. The game seemingly was insisting that I play a Dark Star comp. I did not go all the way to 9. I went to 6. I'll show the comp in just a second, and for those of you who are looking to kind of learn a little bit more about this, I am too, and so part of the reason why I have this video out there is not only to make content, but also for me to have a better understanding of the game. I used to play back in set 1, set 2, and it's been a really long time since I played. I've recently gotten back into it as of the most recent patch, which is 17.3, and just kind of learning and recording and making content as I go as a way to kind of teach myself the game again. I started off as I'm kind of starting off pretty much all my games with everything econ focused, and I'm doing everything I can to really kind of hold out on spending money as long as I can establish some sort of early board presence and get a nice win streak going. That doesn't happen most games for me as I'm kind of getting back into things. It definitely did on this one. So I will go through this at a pretty fast pace so that way you can kind of see what, actually, why don't I just go ahead and show what the board looked like. And so the cornerstones of this are going to be a little bit different, I think, than some Dark Star builds you've seen before. Jhin, Karma, Aurelion Soul made it onto this one too, although you can probably mix and match a little bit more backline. Vex I thought was really, really good, and the game was giving it to me, so I took it. Kaisa was also what I started with, and you'll see that in just a bit. Blitzcrank, Mech, and Tahm Kench was a great, thick, sort of meaty frontline tank for me, and then Cho'Gath and Mord. A couple things you could probably mix and match here a little bit. I know that there are other comps where this is really, really effective. The core pieces of this are already pretty well established, but this worked out really, really well for me. I also really like the Tahm Kench and just being able to kind of get the bonuses thrown in there. It was really, really nice. And then as far as gods are concerned, I started with the cryogenic hex here. I wasn't entirely sure, and you can also see here I got the Kaisa really early, which was really lucky. I went with that particular god because I wasn't really sure how much in the way of tank items I was going to end up having. Ended up being fine, but I ended up throwing that on Cho'Gath just to kind of get a little bit more durability up front. But the other thing that's really nice is that you can build items for Jhin and put them on Kaisa early, and you just move them over whenever you pick up a Jhin. So you get that that early damage throughput, and that works out really, really well. And then you can move it over for the more end state of your build. So I will pause here, and I'll let you guys kind of watch and see how things sort of come together, and I'll chime in with some additional pieces here and there. But if you're here again, thanks for watching. Hit the like, subscribe button if you enjoy the content, and I appreciate you watching. You can see me throwing Last Whisper on Kaisa again, Infinity Edge as well. Those are items I would put on Jhin, so I got really lucky in that I got them early, and I was able to use them early on to kind of get myself a win streak going and sort of sustain that into the middle part of the game. And then I was trying to look for some tank items as well to put on Cho'Gath. Again, survivability wasn't really a problem, and I was able to establish that positioning pretty early. And so I was able to just kind of sit back with the items that I had and sort of bide my time and build the econ. Now I kind of sacrificed the Primordial here in favor of the two-piece Vanguard by adding Nunu up front. Again, it was just kind of a calculated temporary trade to get something a little bit more durable up front with a higher cost champ. It just made sense to me at the time, and I ended up swapping it back out when I got something a little bit better. And we ended up adding the Primordial back in here anyway with the level up. I was very surprised in scouting this game that I didn't end up having more competition for this. I know that Dark Star is part of the meta for this particular patch. I don't know how long it's been the meta, but I do know that I've seen it quite a lot, and so I was really kind of surprised that I didn't have more competition. I think there was only one other person going for that particular type of board, and I ended up fighting them next, as a matter of fact, and it looked like they tried to pivot out of it after they saw mine, so it ended up working out really well. Again, I couldn't really have asked for a better setup for this game, and really just everything was really sort of perfect. Two-star Kaisa really sort of sustained me through into the mid game here, and along with the items, we really just, again, you'll see here, there's really absolutely no issues with the front line not surviving. Everything was burned down pretty fast. And now we got our Jhin, which I was able to swap out. I believe to swap out the items from Kaisa here, and it was really no looking back. At this point, I got pretty much the validation I needed on the comp. And you know, like I said before, this ended up being a 6-piece Dark Star, and I ended up getting lucky right here with the spatula to sort of throw that onto my Tom Kench. And so, you know, you could have done this in other ways. You could have even maybe pushed, if you get to level 10, you know, you certainly could have pushed for a 9-piece Dark Star. I didn't do that here. It really just didn't seem necessary. Now, granted, if you're playing at a little bit of a higher rank, maybe that might be something you'd be interested in. It just wasn't necessary here. I didn't even have any 3 stars. The damage output on this particular board was just so good. I really just didn't have any issues. This was as close as I think I got to losing from here on out. And it still really wasn't all that close. And so you can kind of see things were just kind of coming to me as I needed it to. I didn't even need to spend a whole lot rolling down. Everything just worked out really nicely. Final god I picked up here was the Acceleration Hex, and I threw that on Jhin. I did think about picking up the 4 cost here, but I think just my damage output and my survivability didn't really seem to be a problem, so I just kind of doubled down on the damage and went for the attack speed for Jhin. This is where I transitioned to Mighty Mech on the front line. See, again, really no problems at all. Everything dies so fast. Really, there was not even a whole lot of reason to need a ton of items on my tanks. And you know, again, there's some other things you probably could have swapped in here as well. Having the spatula really kind of helps a lot. It gives you a little bit more flexibility if you're okay with just playing at a 6-piece Dark Star. Yeah, it was just again really solid. My Karma a little bit late, and swapped out the Lysandra for Karma, and then I was putting most of my Castra items on Vex. I think just the way that this whole comp came together just worked out really nicely. Had a good spread of archetypes along with to complement the 6-piece Dark Star. It just really ended up being really great. Level 10 was easy peasy. Plenty of econ for the whole match. There's just tons and tons of damage. We weren't even close to dying at any point. And this is pretty much how we finished out. Now, again, the Blitzcrank, you could probably swap out the Aurelion Soul. You could probably swap out for some other things. I did consider throwing a Shen on this board as well. You know, again, it just really, there was so much damage. Just tinkering with it beyond this really just wasn't necessary. I also didn't even need to end up pushing for any 3 stars. So. And this is what it looked like, the final fight of the match. And this is what the end of the board looked like. So thanks for watching. If you got this far, again, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.